Imagine for a moment that every challenge, every fear, and every self-doubt you faced in your life isn't just an obstacle to be conquered. What if these struggles actually form a roadmap, leading you to uncover your true purpose? Consider this: what if the key to understanding who you truly are and the path you're meant to walk lies in the very aspects of yourself that you've tried to hide, suppress, or deny? Today, we are about to dive into one of the most transformative ideas in both psychology and philosophy, the concept of the shadow, as proposed by Carl Jung. Carl Jung, the renowned psychologist and pioneer of depth psychology, introduced the idea of the shadow as an unconscious part of our personality that we tend to reject or disown. The shadow consists of all the traits, desires, and aspects of our personality that we deem unacceptable or shameful. However, paradoxically, this very shadow is also where our greatest strengths and the blueprint for a meaningful, fulfilling life can be found. This isn't simply an abstract theory. It's a practical, life-changing approach that can reshape your understanding of who you are. By the end of our exploration, you'll not only understand what the shadow is, but you'll also begin to see how it holds the key to unlocking your full potential, your purpose, and your freedom. And perhaps the most profound revelation will be the one that has the power to change everything. Think about it for a moment. How often do we push certain thoughts or behaviors aside because they make us uncomfortable? How often do we judge others for traits we secretly recognize in ourselves? If you've ever found yourself reacting strongly to someone's actions, there's a good chance that they've touched a part of your own shadow. Jung himself wrote, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." The shadow isn't solely about darkness, it's about untapped potential. It's the energy we suppress because of fear or shame, energy that, when embraced, can lead us to immense personal growth. Take a moment to reflect. Are there parts of yourself that you've been hiding, both from others and perhaps even from yourself? It could be a fear of failure, a lingering anger, or a persistent envy. Maybe it's a passion or desire you've convinced yourself is impractical or wrong. What if these suppressed aspects weren't flaws to be eradicated, but clues to be explored? Jung believed that confronting our shadow and integrating it into our conscious awareness is the key to achieving individuation, a process of becoming whole. While this process requires courage, honesty, and a willingness to step into the unknown, the rewards are immeasurable. Jung described individuation as the journey of discovering who we truly are, and not just the persona we show to the world, but the complete, authentic self that includes both our light and our shadow. He argued that true growth doesn't come from rejecting our shadow, but from embracing it. Consider the stories of heroes in mythology. Every hero faces a confrontation with their own darkness. For example, Hercules had to confront not only external monsters, but also his own flaws and anger. Luke Skywalker's journey in Star Wars is similar. He had to confront his inner darkness before he could fully embrace his destiny as a Jedi. These narratives are symbolic of our own psychological journeys. The question is, are you ready to take that first step? Are you ready to look at the parts of yourself you've been running from and ask, what is my shadow trying to teach me? Jung teaches us that the shadow isn't an enemy, but a guide. It whispers to us through our dreams, our fears, and even our relationships. Have you ever had a recurring dream or felt an inexplicable pull toward a particular idea or person? These might be signs of your shadow trying to communicate with you. The process of working with your shadow begins with awareness. Start paying attention to the emotions or reactions that feel disproportionate or intense. These reactions are often clues to aspects of yourself that you've hidden away. Once you identify these traits, the next step is acceptance. This doesn't mean indulging every impulse or desire, but rather acknowledging these parts of yourself without judgment. What if you stopped fearing your flaws and instead saw them as opportunities for growth? Imagine how much more confident and authentic you could become by embracing your whole self. As we move further, we'll dive into how to identify and integrate your shadow. We'll explore practical steps to turn what feels like darkness into light and how this integration can lead you toward your life's purpose. The ultimate revelation is still to come, so stay with us. By the end of this journey, you'll have a roadmap not only for understanding your shadow, but also for using it as a guide toward your true destiny. Let's continue this deep dive into the hidden realms of your mind and uncover the extraordinary potential lying within. The shadow appears in many forms. It can show up in our habits, relationships, and especially in our reactions. Have you ever had an emotional outburst and later wondered why you reacted so strongly? In those moments, when emotion seems to overtake reason, it's often your shadow coming to the surface. But why does the shadow have such power over us? Jung believed this power stems from its unconscious nature. The more we deny or suppress a part of ourselves, the more control it gains. It's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. The harder you push, the more forcefully it will pop up. When you no longer keep it suppressed, it can resurface with a vengeance. Now, consider, if you could bring that hidden part of yourself to the surface and understand its origin, how much more control would you have over your life? How much freer would you feel? A compelling example of shadow work is the idea of projection. Jung argued that when we disown parts of ourselves, we often project those traits onto others. For instance, if you feel insecure about your own abilities, you might criticize someone who appears overly confident or dismiss those who excel in areas where you feel inadequate. This isn't just a quirk of human nature, it's a mirror. The world reflects back to us the parts of ourselves that we have yet to acknowledge. Jung put it this way: knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darkness of other people. Reflect for a moment. Is there someone in your life who consistently triggers a strong emotional response? It could be a friend, colleague, or even a family member. Instead of focusing on their behavior, ask yourself, what does this reaction reveal about me? What part of my shadow am I projecting onto them? This is not about blaming yourself, but about self-discovery. Each projection is an opportunity to reclaim a piece of yourself and bring it into the light of awareness. Now, let's explore how the shadow relates to your purpose. Often, the aspects of ourselves we suppress are closely tied to our unique gifts and passions. For example, someone who has suppressed their creativity because they fear failure might find that embracing this hidden side leads them to their true calling. Jung believed that purpose isn't something to be found externally, it's something to be uncovered internally. It's about aligning with your authentic self, including both your light and your shadow. So, how do we begin this process of alignment? Start with self-inquiry. Ask yourself challenging questions like, what do I fear most about myself? What parts of me have I been told are unacceptable? What dreams or passions have I abandoned because they felt impractical? Write these reflections down and sit with them. You may be surprised at the answers that emerge when you finally give your shadow a voice. Another powerful tool for shadow work is journaling. Jung himself kept extensive journals, using them to explore his unconscious. Writing down your dreams is particularly effective, as dreams are a direct communication line to the unconscious. The shadow often appears in symbolic forms in our dreams, maybe as a person, an animal, or a specific event. Pay attention to recurring symbols and themes. What message might your unconscious mind be trying to convey to you? Consider how integrating your shadow can lead to personal transformation. Imagine a painter who refuses to use dark colors. While their work might be beautiful, it will lack depth and contrast. Similarly, when we embrace our shadow, we use the full spectrum of who we are to create a masterpiece of our lives. Integration doesn't mean acting on every dark impulse, but rather understanding and accepting these parts of us as part of our human experience. This acceptance fosters compassion, not just for ourselves, but for others as well. When we accept our own shadows, we recognize that everyone else has their own. This shared understanding creates a deeper sense of connection. The journey to embrace your shadow is lifelong, but each step brings us closer to authenticity, purpose, and inner peace. Your purpose isn't just about personal fulfillment, it also contributes to the collective unconscious, the shared human experience. By confronting your shadow, you elevate not just your life, but also the lives of others around you. Hope you got valuable insight about the shadow and how it can guide you to your highest potential.